Hey, what's up, Shelfies? We're coming at you live with Deeks in the studio. Derek, guest star of the evening. We also got Scott and Craig and myself, Corey. This is Top Shelf Podcast 198. We're closing in on 200, boys.
I know, it's fucking crazy.
I'm like,
I'm
we need
not
something
all
special.
convinced that this is podcast 198, but we will go with it.
It could be 199. I remember there was a
It could
little
be
bit of a
198.
debacle.
Or 197.
It could be any number of numbers, really. But today's May 12th. We're coming at you. We got the first of many rookie mock drafts tonight. What else we got? We got some news for you, and then taking a look at some of the remaining free agents. So we'll get into that. But as always, listen to us on our website, topshelffantasy.com. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at topshelffntsy. Let's get into it. Give me the beat, boys.
You don't want to talk about the very first thing that impacts you the most?
I would love to. Thank you for leading me into that. I just didn't want to talk unchecked for an hour straight.
No,
But
go ahead.
yeah, Mike Davis decides to sign with the Ravens after a pretty quick turnaround after getting cut by the Falcons. The Ravens consequently let Tyson Williams walk. So really looking like Mike Davis might have a clear path to some early season reps. I know J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards are still expected to be on the PUP to enter the season. So, or at least to enter camp, I should say. I don't know about if they've given any indication for the season. So real interesting. Mike Davis goes from pretty much having no value in Atlanta based on last season to having absolutely no value as a free agent to now having like a glimmer of hope. And I'm kind of stoked, and I'm going to talk myself into it for the remaining, months as we lead up to the season.
Now, is he on your team or is he a hometown?
He is on my team. $25.
Ooh.
I signed him to 2 for 25 last year. I'm not that upset about the contract, but
one more year.
You're not saving that much money by cutting him.
Right. And I offered him to Carbs, actually, trying to trade him as I do. But that was before the news he even signed in Baltimore. And then I obviously hit him up again once he did sign. And I was like, dude, I mean, he's going to be the starter like week 1 or 2. Obviously, your guys are on the pup. They suck. And he was like, just didn't even bite. I was like, okay, well, I guess we're in trouble here. Because if I don't even have the guy with both of his other handcuffs with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards taking a bite out of Mike Davis, I don't know who's going to buy in on him. And I offered to eat, like, I think I said all of his salary. I don't really even remember. But I was trying to get his 112 or something like that. So I can understand his hesitance.
That won't happen. I mean, I think it's more, I know Dobbins has hope of starting week 1. It's more on Gus Edwards. I think he's still far behind. And I mean, this is a team who wanted to sign Melvin Gordon last month too. So you kind of know that they know it. At least Gus is not going to be ready to start week 1. And like you said, Davis was cut 6 days ago and signed 2 days after that. Not even like not off of waivers, which is fine. It's Mike Davis. I don't think team would waste a waiver on him, but it just shows that Ravens like, yeah, we want a running back.
I think one thing with this signing and coming off the draft too is the Ravens had 10 picks and didn't really go after a running back in the draft. So long-term value for Dynasty for J.K. Dobbins looks good, but short-term, you got to be worried.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, you would assume Mike Davis has at least an early season backup role to whoever, whether it's J.K. Dobbins as they ease him in or somebody else there. He's certainly an ancillary piece, but I don't know what he holds for season-long value. If you are a dynasty owner like I am, I think your move right now is still to shop Mike Davis as opposed to hold on to him and think that he's going to be a viable flex play in any capacity, especially if you're in a super deep dynasty league. Like if he gives me 8 points a week in our league with the way our 14 very deep roster set up, I can live there. But if you're in anything less than that, if you're in a 12-team league and you don't have that deep of a bench, if you're in any type of redraft league with keepers, he's obviously not even on your radar. I just want to make sure I'm being very clear. Mike Davis is not your savior. He's not giving you the CMC injury season that he gave you 2 years back. So I'm going to keep bashing him like that and then hope that I put that negativity out in the atmosphere and then he proves me wrong. But
you never know. Week 1, he might have the whole thing. So
listen, I said Austin Eckler was the bust of the year last year, and he came out and he stepped it up after he heard my remarks.
So. You feel that's so bad.
Well, Felt attacked. We'll couple the next two because I feel like they don't deserve their own line. Keelan Cole signs with the Raiders and Devontae Pettis signs with the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, Dante Pettis has just kicked around the entire league. Like at this point,
This is only his fifth year or fourth
fifth
yeah.
year, 15.
I think it's fourth or fifth year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to get hurt in training camp again. So no big deal there. And Keelan Cole is just a depth piece.
There's no wide receivers that are good outside of Mooney for the Bears.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Which, like, Justin Fields has to be sitting there like, do you guys want me to succeed or no? Because you haven't given me anything to do it with.
right.
Oh, they're the worst team in the league.
Cole Kmet, big tight end sleeper.
Oh,
way
yeah.
late in the
Mhm.
draft.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see him catch heat coming into the draft, I bet, just because they didn't add any pass catchers there.
I would agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
In other news,
Well, this is another Corey Dow's Dynasty player. Sony
Yeah,
Michelle
taking
signs with the Dolphins. This is a big
you guys
Corey
beginning to
Dow's.
construct my roster in your head and imagine what type of mediocrity I'm toiling in. Yeah, Sony Michelle with the Dolphins. What do you do? He's probably third string there to start the season, maybe deeper depending on how you view Malcolm Brown.
He could be a cut candidate too.
Yeah, he's not on a significant deal from what I've seen. Actually, I don't even know if I've seen the money come out, but I'm just assuming it's not significant. But you have Chase Edmonds there, who's above him. Raheem Mostert, who's above him. Raheem Mostert will be hurt, so just erase him, and then it's like Malcolm Brown, Sony Michelle, and whoever else is hanging out. They still
Myles
got Patty
Gaskin.
Laird, Myles
Yeah,
Gaskin, Salvin Ahmed.
Salvin Ahmed too, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
The
Yeah,
the
and
new
then
trend
like-
in the new trend in the NFL is just hold 7 running backs going into
Yeah.
training camp and figure it out.
that's the McCarthy.
Well, this is the same guy from San Francisco.
Right.
Yeah,
might
Mike
just be
McDaniel
this guy.
loves his RBs. But either way, you can almost anticipate a couple injuries to running backs at this point, the way the league's going. So Sony maybe has I don't know, a small role, and maybe it grows based on injury, but he's not somebody that you should be going after or paying $17 of your $300 budget to.
Is that what is
you
this
paid
contract
that
for you?
was started for the Patriots.
I paid
so.
him $17 while I forgot that I still had James White on my roster.
I think one of the trends that we'll see in the NFL too is with running back contracts values going way down, teams will have more running backs on their rosters going forward. They can dedicate more roster spots for less dollars on their teams. And I think it's just going to be like this going forward as long as the college keeps churning out running backs that are NFL ready, like they have been.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I didn't think of that. Like if you budgeted 10 million for your running backs, that used to be
There's
2 guys.
5 there.
Now it's 5 to 10 guys.
Right.
And honestly, most of them can play special teams pretty swiftly. I mean,
Yeah, right.
they're fast, can block, can pretty much tackle if you're a running back because you're getting tackled the whole time. So
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'd love to have a special teams unit filled with running backs. Just go on, guys, get them.
that's what the Patriots tried to do.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's that? Tom Brady agrees. Yeah. Was it really 10 years, $375 million with Fox Sports? Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
the
all
memes
the
coming
years-
out about that
yeah.
are electric. They're like,
It's all the years that the Patriots fucked him over with the contract. He's finally getting it.
and realistically, I do think that is a legitimate thing. Like Kraft was like, "Hey, we'll hook you up at the end of the day. You wanna do broadcasting? We'll get you in." I kind of always assumed he'd be like a special assistant with the Patriots or some stupid baloney title like that. But I mean, if he wants to broadcast, go for it. I love Tony Romo, so if Brady can follow in that ex-QB vein, hopefully he can do well. The weird thing is that I was talking about this with some of my other buddies. Like most people hate Tom Brady, I think, across the country. Like he's not well liked. Tony Romo is pretty well liked, so it'll be interesting to see the reception he gets in the broadcast booth.
How funny would it be if he's terrible? Like
Well,
just
He's
not
all the guaranteed.
articulate.
Yeah, how much of that 375 is guaranteed?
you want to see Tom Brady like on television, go back and watch his SNL performance because it's pretty atrocious. It's hard to
Yeah, and then watch Peyton's and it's fucking fire.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Absolute
crushes.
fire.
That's the greatest thing is somehow Peyton doesn't have one of these gigs.
Yeah, which is crazy because
He has the Manning cast.
He made his own.
Yeah, that's
which was good. I mean, I enjoyed it every Monday night here and
I
there.
know, but I
Never
would have
watched.
I would have thought he
I've
was
never even
more,
flipped it on.
more
Same,
sought
Craig,
after.
Sam. Yep.
But he could do it from home and stuff. Like I think that Peyton was negotiating a lot of things into that allowed him to do it. I don't think he would have been able. Like I don't think he wants to travel. And Brady apparently doesn't really want to spend time with his kids. That was all
Yeah.
bullshit.
Oh yeah, not
So the running.
I saw that first meme I saw was like, oh yeah, 10 years, 375. Fuck them kids.
Yeah.
The kids don't want
He
to
retired to be part of his family. And so I'm gonna come back for two more years, and then I'm gonna be gone for the next 10 more years after I retire because
Yeah.
I
Like-
love money and football too much.
Thing
Over
was, is
under
he
on like numbers of diapers Giselle asked him to change before he decided to play football again. Like
no,
3.
dude, his kids are like all in high school now. He
Yeah.
played that long that his kids
Yeah.
are that old.
He ruined that stage where I want to be a dad. It's like, dude,
Yeah,
they're guys, like
they're gone.
it's done. They're assholes now. They don't want to talk to you.
He walked into his kid's room and he was listening to like Linkin Park and he's like, yo, this kid sucks. I'm out.
Talking about Linkin Park and blowjizz. So the NFL schedule was released today. We'll probably have a podcast next week on bigger matchups. But Craig put this in here. Craig, you can take this.
Yeah, just the first
There's two apocalypse.
Yes, there's the two highlights that will piss you off is knowing that there are two bipocalypse, and one of them happens the week before fantasy football playoffs, which is week 14, where you'll have the Colts off, no Jonathan Taylor, no Matt Ryan, no Michael Pittman. Then you got the Packers, no Rodgers or Jones, the Bears, no Montgomery, Falcons, no Pitts or London, Saints, no Kamara, MT if he plays. I don't know, by week 14, I'm sure he's going to spout off. And then the Commanders. So no Terry. It is a rough week 14.
Yeah, that is brutal. Like guys that likely bring you to week 14 and have you in position to play, for a playoff spot or whatever, will not be there for you. So RIP.
And then week 9, if you had a good running back, you're not going to get to play them that week because the Browns, their two running backs, the Cowboys, Zeke, Broncos with Williams, the Giants with Saquon, Steelers with Najee, 49ers with Mitchell. Like what do you want? You can't figure it out. Also, that's probably around the time that there's the trade deadline. So if you wanted to figure out what you're going to do week 14, you're also going to have to piggy off the fact that week 9 you don't have players playing. So you might just have to take a loss if you have good players.
Yeah, a lot of good wide receivers in there too.
Yeah, those are just the running backs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
it's
just
fucking
punt those
insane.
weeks for me. I just honestly try to get your whole team on a week 9 bye or a week 14 bye, and then you're good the rest of the season.
Yeah. And then before we get into our next segment, this is before it happens. So Jerry Jeudy.
Ugh.
Right.
Arrested. I mean, we got to kind of talk about that. Cricket Dash going to take this one. You kind of know a little more than I do on this.
I was gonna say, you want to just do a full rundown on my team from now on?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Judy. Craig broke the news. Actually, Mango broke the news to me. Shout out Mango. He said brutal, man. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because there's a lot of brutal things going on in my life right now. You got to be more specific. And he was like, oh, Jerry Judy, because I turned my sleeper notifications off because I was getting annoyed by him. So I look it up. Craig texted us that he was arrested. Appears to be that he was charged with 2nd-degree criminal tampering with some sort of domestic aspect to it. Who knows what that means exactly? As of now, there's no formal punishment being spoken about on anything. Twitter, Reddit, what have you. So I guess we're kind of treading water for now. If you're a Judy owner, I guess I'd be cautiously optimistic because it's not like a felony charge. But anything could change. So keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah, no, do not trade Jerry Jeudy right now. It is
don't panic.
terrible decision to do that. There's definitely someone that has panic sold Jerry Jeudy by now, but just know, like, he's technically on a no hold bond because the mother of his kid is asking for a restraining order, so he has to have 24 hours in the jail cell at least. Well, I don't know if it's just 24, but the arraignment will happen and he'll get released once the restraining order is put out. But basically, from what it boils down to, he didn't do much. There was no physical altercation. He looked at her the wrong way. They got in an argument, and he'll be fine.
And listen, this is the NFL. This is domestic stuff. He'll get 2 games. It's not like he smoked weed.
Smoke weed or took PEDs.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. Or God forbid he gambled on a game.
Yeah, no. All right, so that's the news so far from last week. So we'll get into the second segment is remaining free agents. I know there's a bigger list here, but we can kind of go through the bigger ones. I'll just name the wide receivers left so far. Jarvis Landry, OBJ, Will Fuller, Julio Jones, Cole Beasley is who I want to talk about first. So
Yes.
I think we're just waiting for when is Will Fuller going to sign with the Browns?
I agree. I think that is the most logical spot for him to land based on his connection to Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson has not been shy about wanting him back. So I don't know why he hasn't signed yet, to be quite honest. Maybe it's a money thing, maybe it's something else, but he just got a free $10 million from Miami last season for playing like 4 snaps. So it shouldn't be a money thing. He should be getting on the field for whatever they offer him. So I think that's the most likely situation. But
I would say one of the most likely situations is Jarvis Landry to the Packers.
We think Packers instead of Saints.
Yeah, I mean, they already have kind of receivers that are similar to his style. I mean, Olave and Michael Thomas kind of fit similarly, and it doesn't seem like they are getting rid of Michael Thomas.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
so
from everything I've heard, Michael Thomas is staying in town.
Yeah, I would say that a team that needs a player like him is the Packers. But
yeah, he's really like a better version of what Randall Cobb like used to be. And
yeah,
I think Aaron Rodgers would benefit from him greatly. But everything I've heard is Landry to the Saints to play underneath while Olave stretches it and Michael Thomas catches slants.
it's interesting to use Olave as a field stretcher, but
I mean, I think after he ran that quick 40 time, everybody's like, "Oh, he's a field stretcher." All of a sudden. And he did never really played that way.
He did a well job at putting up his combine numbers, but realistically, he was always just a route, not just, but he was the best, most polished route runner, and he has good intermediate route tree ability. So he has kind of the middle half of the field. If you chunk it off 10 to 20 yards, like that's his bread and butter. I don't think he's really a 50-yard guy, but
yeah, no,
I got to also remember who's going to throw it to him at 50 yards. Jameis.
Well, I couldn't agree more on Olave, and also he was a wicked low yards after catch guy. He was a catch the ball, go down kind of guy, and I just don't see the Saints using him downfield all that much. But I think Jarvis Landry to Green Bay makes way too much sense, so it probably won't happen because Green Bay.
No, you're right.
Yeah, that's exactly why I didn't put him there in our Instagram thing. It's like, on paper, it's just obvious,
right?
But it won't happen. Like they're gonna be like, I'm gonna go out and get, hey, T.Y. Hilton, what are you doing? Do you want to retire and play with us? Like that's something that they'll do.
I can see Rodgers saying that. Give me T.Y.
Yeah,
T.Y. or Julio. I could see Rodgers advocating for Julio Jones.
I can see that too.
Just being in the league for so long together, and or they played on probably enough Pro Bowl teams because they never made Super Bowl. So.
It's so
Julio's
true.
my prime candidate on this list to retire, even above T.Y. Hilton. I would not be shocked to see Julio hang him up just after that last season. I don't know what he has left in the tank. I mean, he's dealt with an injury for as long as I can remember every single year, and then this past year he just couldn't get back on the field. At some point, you're sick of rehabbing.
So let's say Jarvis Landry goes to the Packers. What's the next team that Julio could go to?
Colts.
Same. I would say Colts.
Oh, so I think Colts is a good one. I think that the Rams are a really good one too. Like if the Rams decide to move on from OBJ, I think it makes a lot of sense.
I mean, Julio's sat in Atlanta for years and probably wanted, when he got to Tennessee, he thought he had a shot.
Right.
I would not be surprised him doing the same thing Odell did last year when he hit free agency in the middle of the season. Go, all right, I don't care. $1 million. Get me a ring.
Derek, you make a good point too, because like everyone's like, oh, well, it's not the Rams because they're all set. They have A-Rob and Cup, but you got to think like they got OBJ when it was Woods and Cooper.
Right.
Cup. And then Woods got hurt 2 days later. And they've always had Woods, Cup, and Brandon Cooks. So they've always carried 3 legit wide receivers on their team.
Yeah, and Ben Jefferson isn't quite that guy yet.
Oh my God, you can give me and Derek a fucking hour and a half podcast on Van Jefferson and Tyler Johnson, how
Yeah.
unreliable these young stud receivers are. They're so
Yeah.
freaking unreliable. It's insane. Yeah, Van Jefferson is not the answer.
I was gonna also say
Yeah.
you never want to count like KC out from just going and making a veteran
Nope.
play. Like
You're
get
right.
rid of like Josh Gordon and just sub in Julio Jones or something like that. It's a lateral move at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can probably toss out 15 teams that don't need him but could use him.
Yeah, if he
Like,
was able
there's
to
not
stay
one
healthy,
team that
you
needs
would
him.
want him. I just have a lot of concerns about his ability to do that, and I think a lot of teams would share that same concern. Like, we're not bringing this guy in to become part of our offense to play one game.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's go to Cole Beasley. I think me and Dow's talked about this privately. I put it on the IG, the Instagram. Cowboys. Go back.
100% reunion.
Go back to your roots. Go back to the Cowboys. I think they need receivers there. They don't have Gallup to start the season. They only
And
see
above
Lamb.
a lot of stuff with his outspoken nature on the COVID vaccine, yada, yada, yada stuff. Texas is a good spot for him to be. He's not going to get the fan backlash that he gets at a lot of other places.
Yeah, and they didn't really fully replace, I think, in my opinion,
Who was the rookie?
Amari
I think?
Cooper. That's what I'm looking up right now, who the rookie wide receiver is that they took. Of course, it's nothing quick I can get.
I should know this.
I know I should too.
We'll be right back. It's a Total Show fantasy.
No,
Yeah, but I mean, they also
Tolbert.
lost.
Yes,
Tolbert, right,
Jalen
yeah.
Tolbert.
Yeah, Tolbert.
Oh, Mike
And they
Tolbert,
also
yeah,
lost.
fullback.
Yeah. They also lost Cedric Wilson too.
Cedric
So
Wilson. Yeah.
they're going into the season with CeeDee Lamb as the one.
Michael
James
Gallup.
Washington.
Yeah.
Mal Gallup won't be ready week one. So you're going with James Washington.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood your point.
CeeDee
Yes,
Lamb
sorry.
and Tolbert. So that's where I think you can get a Cole Beasley into Dallas, get a nice slot guy, 2 to 4 yard route, like where just let CD do what he does and just fucking go downfield or do whatever he wants to do. But I think if Dallas doesn't get a receiver, I think they're in trouble. I really do. I don't think they're going to be top of the division until they make one more move.
Yeah,
That
a team that
was
wants
my
to throw
thought.
the ball as much as they do and have for the past few seasons needs another piece to do that with. And when they don't have it, you see Zeke Elliott struggle and Tony Pollard struggle on the rushing attack because teams are stacking the box and it's not the dominant offensive Cowboy line that we've been used to for years either. So definitely need a wide receiver if you're going to compete in that division because as other teams have gotten stronger in that division, the Cowboys have stayed pretty level, if not gotten worse. Like the Giants and Eagles, I think they had a great draft and are going to pose a lot bigger problem this season. And the Commanders, for that matter, if they can keep Terry McLaurin around.
Yep.
Yeah, fully agree.
And then the last receiver, OBJ. I know
Rams.
We've said Rams too, but I mean he's not going to be cleared till November, probably. So
He's older too. I mean, he could just straight up miss the season. Like,
yeah, well,
Could.
we were saying too. It's like when he comes back healthy, that's when it might be like, all right, the Packers are doing very well. San Fran's doing very well. I'll go sign with them. Like he might just be a chaser come week 10, week 11 when he's back, or be like, hey, I'll just go back to the Rams for $1 million. Screw it.
Right. That's kind of how I looked at it, the chasing aspect, but I just expect the Rams to be in that hunt again. So if he can have some consistency with a team and a quarterback and a scheme where he knows he fits, plus be in the hunt for another ring, then it's kind of a natural fit versus trying to go somewhere else and then gel with a whole new crew coming off of an injury. So I don't know. I think Rams prime candidate, late November signing, something like that.
makes sense.
Yeah, I don't really
Yeah.
have a strong opinion on where he even goes anyway. I'm
That being said, he's
not
welcome to Fox.
not trustworthy.
All right. So next person is Rob Gronkowski. I think this is quick and easy. It's Bucks
Tampa.
or retire.
Yeah. Right. Then the fact
right.
he hasn't come out and said he's retired yet is just makes me think he's going to the Bucks on September 1st.
Yeah.
Skip OTAs. Perfect. RBs, Daryl Williams and Jerick McKinnon, Chiefs RBs last season. They're still unsigned. I know Daryl visited the Cardinals a few weeks back. Nothing happened there yet. I can still see him going to the Cardinals, to be honest. But I mean, these two guys, you're not, looking at where they're going for fantasy. Like, no, like if I'm a Daryl owner, I'm not like, oh, I want him to go here because he's gonna be so sick here. Like they're going to a place like you want them to go to a place if you're owner, like, all right, they're the number 2 at the best. And I think Daryl could go to the Cardinals still. I think they still need that void there. I know they, Benjamin they drafted. I can't think of his name now, but I still think they need that okay pass catcher back for Kyler.
Yeah, I think both these guys are good candidates for Arizona. Honestly, I think Jerick McKinnon gives you a good different flavor than what James Conner really does. But James Conner caught the ball kind of well last year, which is a little surprising.
Yeah, he definitely added that wrinkle to his game pretty late in his career. But I think the Cardinals are a good fit for either team. Jerick McKinnon, I wouldn't be surprised to see back with the Chiefs either. Just like a late, maybe even during camp signing or something like that, or maybe wait for somebody to go down with an injury.
It hasn't happened yet. Like usually when you're on that team the year before, it's one of those like, all right, we'll just bring him back for cheap now because he's not going to go for $5 million. He's going for 1.2 million, if that. So
Jerick McKinnon, sneaky old guy. I'm pretty sure
he's 29. He's 30. Wow. Okay. Yeah, he's 30. Wow.
Sneaky.
I mean, been around a while. I mean, listen, his days he came out, he was sidestepping with Matt Asiata.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. Matt Asiata. You're right.
Throwback.
Wow, that's when it was an AP got angry at his kid. And then the next, that's why they get a starting job. David Johnson, retire.
He's got to retire. He doesn't have any juice left. Any team that signs him is stupid.
As soon as he broke his wrist in Arizona, has never tried again.
Yeah.
Who knew that like your wrist was connected to your kneecaps?
I just think
oh yeah, no.
I don't know. I think it's all mental with him. I think he thought he was. I mean, he called it out that season. He goes, "I'm going to be the first 1,000 back." Breaks his wrist, fucking first opening drive.
Yeah,
and then the season after that, he's like, "I'm gonna do it now." I'm like, dude, you look slow, man.
there was clear as day. We all know the play. Had that swing off to the left.
Yep.
And he just was so slow. We all were like, this guy's done.
Man.
He's done. Completely done. I'm like, he has no speed left.
That was funny.
He was like 26.
Yeah, he looked so spent on that out route. That was so funny.
Cliff comes quick for NFL running backs.
Yeah,
it does.
Oh, yeah.
And then 3 more guys I'll toss out here, wide receivers. Antonio Brown, T.Y. Hilton, and Emmanuel Sanders. I think I'm sure we all think Antonio Brown could just be done forever because he won't get surgery until he's signed to a big contract, and no team's going to do that.
Yep.
But then there's T.Y. and Emmanuel Sanders, who are both free agent older receivers that may retire, but do we think they can get on a team?
Emmanuel Sanders, last time we saw him play, real snaps, was still effective in his role. So I would see a team taking a chance on him, maybe after a couple injuries, something like that, and they need a veteran in. T.Y. Hilton hasn't really looked great for a while, and he's been dealing with, the neck issue, the back issue, yada, yada, yada. To me, Manny Sanders is the better of the two, just physically speaking right now. I don't know who takes a shot at him. I know we talked about the Packers with T.Y. The Packers could take Manny Sanders. They're much the same receiver at this point in their career.
Yeah. And Manny Sanders has already talked about that he could possibly retire. I mean, I couldn't agree more. T.Y. Hilton should. And then if Emmanuel Sanders gets maybe a $3 or $4 million contract, he plays. If not, I don't think there's no point for him to play for anything less than that.
Yeah. Why go out there and risk your body for nothing when he's had a fine career. He has nothing else to prove.
I think if these guys do want to play, though, they'll end up on a roster. They'll just take whoever, though. It's really hard to say where they'll land because it just really, at this point in your career, comes down to, do you still want to play?
Yep.
Yeah, they could go be depth guys for like the Seahawks. And I'd be like, okay, I get it. Yeah. Great. You want to play with Drew Lock? That's your choice, not mine.
All right, those are the remaining free agents left. I mean, there's a few more like Eric Ebron, Jared Cook, but those guys don't fucking matter. So
First
we're
round
gonna
pick.
put this in there. All right, so our last segment, we're gonna do a rookie mock draft. The first one of the year. We'll do a few more. I will share the screen with all you guys, and maybe put it on YouTube. I don't fucking know. How do I do this?
I would have dressed for the occasion.
No, Dad, you look fantastic.
Oh, I blurred my screen. Specifically, I thought we were going on YouTube.
All right, can you guys see it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we're all in here. We're doing a 2 rounds, 12 team. Let's say it's 1 quarterback league dynasty. And all right, I'll start. I have first pick. Dow's has second pick. Craig has third pick, and Derek has fourth pick, and then we'll just alternate after that. So with pick 1, I will take Brees Hall. I think that's the clear cut number 1 in every single draft so far, unless you guys have seen anything different.
1-1.
No, I like that pick, and I think at 2 is where it gets a little bit more dicey. So I appreciate you.
Yeah,
taking
I mean,
the easy one.
The thing is it's just kind of pretty transparent. Brees Hall is going to be an assistant that they're going to run a lot. Not rookie quarterback, but might as well still be a rookie quarterback. They have pretty much all the pieces set up for success for a young offense to have Brees Hall lead it. I don't think it's going to be led in the passing game. I like Michael Carter, but Brees Hall, I mean, when you really look at all the players that have come out in this draft and how fantasy football works, the running back goes. Like that's how I feel. I don't think that anyone has any drastically different opinion on Brees Hall.
No,
Nope.
I think like in redraft,
know.
just wait on Hall. Week 1's probably not going to be where he pops off. Generally takes a few weeks for some of these rookies. Like you look at guys, even like Jonathan Taylor didn't catch heat until later in the season in his rookie year. Just kind of the way it goes, but pretty simple 1-1 this year, I think.
Yep. That was pick 2.
Yeah, moving on to pick 2. I'm taking a guy. I'm just going to take him right now, and you guys can react how you will. Yeah.
Sleeper gave you a wow.
Did Sleeper just make a sound? Like, what was that?
Yeah, I heard a
So-
big wow from
yeah.
Sleeper. That's funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
It's
got
based on
scared.
ADP.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, so Treylon Burks is my pick at 2. I love Garrett Wilson. I love a lot of other receivers in this draft, but I think what I'm looking for, if I have a high pick in a rookie draft in a dynasty format, is somebody that has a clear path to snaps in year 1, and he clearly does. I mean, they removed AJ Brown from the equation and added him to the team, and he's tied to a quarterback in Ryan Tannehill, who I think is superior to a lot of the other quarterbacks that these highly drafted wide receivers ended up with. So Treylon Burks, I think, ends up contributing year 1 and has a lot of room for growth in year 2. And he'll probably take reps with Malik Willis early and often. So when Malik Willis finally takes over in Tennessee, he's got a good familiarity with his top wide receiver.
All right, Sir Craig Penny.
All right. Well, I don't necessarily. This is all pick dependent. I mean, team dependent, really. But I hate the Jets, so I can't pick Garrett Wilson. I will pick Kenneth Walker because it's just fantasy football, and that's what I'm going to do with the top 3 pick. Is I'm going to get a running back. Now, granted, a lot of people. I don't think at this point you can hate the player or find weaknesses in his game. I mean, there's some people that say, "Oh, he's 5'9". He's gonna break down." Well, all running backs break down, no matter what size they are. Really, I mean, yes, JT, Brees Hall, those bigger guys that have come out recently will have a little bit more of longevity, but not much more, maybe a year or 2. So that really isn't that much of a bother for me. And I actually like the landing spot of Kenneth Walker a lot more than I think maybe some people have talked about. I don't think Rashad Penny's good. He had a 4-game performance on some of the weaker teams in the league last year. And that was it for his entire 4-year career up to this point. So what are we really talking about there? And then Chris Carson, there's the possibility Chris Carson comes in, he's healthy, and he's a starter. But I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say that his injury history and his neck issues is going to really derail everything. I mean, nothing's come up out of it, but I don't think that Chris Carson's playing. I think he might be a cut candidate. I mean, they were paying him a lot of money, and now I think he has like 2 years left or maybe 1 year left on his deal. So Kenneth Walker has a real shot for 1A responsibility, and it's not going to be a power back. He's not going to be a workhorse back, but he's going to have 1A or 1B responsibility, and that's going to get you 220 to 250, maybe 260 carries in a Seattle offense that runs it like 500 times a year. They did bring in Cross, so Cross is also a pretty decent run blocking offensive tackle. So they did get a little bit to add on to that god awful line. I know some people are nervous about that, but all in all, I think it's just knee jerk reactions with Kenneth Walker and his landing spots and everything like that. And really, if you dive deep, Kenneth Walker is a fine pick.
Yeah, I think Seattle is one of the best landing spots for a running back that you could ask for in the NFL. They're a team that loves to run the ball. Makes a lot of sense. All right, so I'm up now. I think with this pick, I think this is one of the harder picks is like figuring out which one of these wide receivers you want on the top of these drafts. And I think it is really dependent on your team, whether you want to take the guaranteed production that Drake London probably provides year one, or if you want to take the upside guys like Garrett Wilson or Jameson Williams. And to diversify a little bit, I'm going to take Jameson here. And I think like when you're picking this early in the draft, I think you want to go with guys, especially if you can still tank. Jameson Williams probably is not going to be a high-end wide receiver for year one. He's probably not going to force his way into your lineup week after week, maybe later in the season for sure. But you'll get plenty of tanking done in the early part of your dynasty year. So that way you can get another nice, tasty pick next year. So I just think that early in the draft, Jameson Williams makes a lot of sense for kind of rehabbing that ACL, learning the playbook. We've seen rookies that miss training camps come out and start really, really slow. And I think you got to expect that. Just hang on. This guy's a special speed and special talent. Can Detroit unlock him? Probably not, but we'll figure it out, right?
Yeah. You got to get rid of Jared Goff first.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I pick 105, and again, it's what Derek says, like which receiver do you want? And now I have two. I have Wilson or Drake London. At this point, I'm going with the guy I think is better of the two. I'm going with Garrett Wilson here. I know he's wow, yeah, great pick. I do think I think he's great. It sucks he's on the Jets, but again, like one more year of Zach Wilson, maybe it helps. I know Elijah Moore is there, but again, like you're seeing it in the NFL. You can't just have one receiver. I know Corey Davis is there still. Hey, every team wants 3 good wide receivers too. So I think Garrett Wilson's going to have a fine career. I don't know how it's going to mesh well to start the season or even the first year, but I think he's a better player than Drake London. So that's why I pick Garrett Wilson there.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with any of that points. If you hadn't taken him, he would have been my next pick. It's between the two people you named. So I'm taking with the representation of the 6th overall pick, Drake London. And well, I'm trying to take him, but it's not allowing me to do so. So
I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, Drake London's my guy. I've loved Drake London just based on body type. His college career and his combine was pretty solid as well. So the reason that I think he fell, and I think the reason that I wouldn't have taken him sooner is because it's tied to Marcus Mariota for the time being. So that is naturally going to limit his production, whether it's a lack of targets or because Marcus Mariota is taking off of the ball or just an inability to get him the ball in a position where he can catch it and make a play on it. I think he's probably up there with these top 4 guys as most talented, and it's really going to be a toss-up. Any 4 of them could end up being the best player in this draft and would not surprise me one bit. But until Marcus Mariota isn't under center anymore in Atlanta, I'm not going to have a ton of faith in him. But a long-term pick, I don't think Marcus Mariota is the Atlanta quarterback of the future. So if we're looking from a dynasty perspective, I would love to steal him at pick 6. I think that's a lot of value.
I think Atlanta taking a bridge quarterback just shows that they really wanted to wait till next year to get a quarterback. And I think they're going to be very aggressive. But I think they'll have a lot of competition because if you look at kind of around the NFL, there's some teams with multiple draft picks already in 23. I think teams have been targeting this one to kind of trade up for quarterback. So
Dolphins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Desmond Ridder is their long-term solution either. I think he's kind of just there to back up Mariota and learn a little bit and play in case of injury.
yeah,
But
that
who
or
knows?
just taking a swing later in the draft at quarterback has worked really well for a lot of teams. Like those mid-round picks, like burn it at quarterback. Maybe you get lucky, and if you do, I
Yeah.
mean Drake, all the better for Drake London too. Ridder can hack it.
Yep.
All right, and
Craig,
so-
you're up.
This is a clear tier break spot where there's one more player left. It's Chris Olave. I think that finishes off tier 2. I think tier 1 is Brees Hall. Tier 2 is the rest of the ones we have. I know if I was picking, I would probably have picked Olave over London, but outside of that, I think everything else kind of fall in the right order. I just have something against London for whatever reason. It's just in my head. I don't know what it is. I mean, I think he's a psychopath, but Chris Olave, the pick, is definitely the
slander.
7th. Definitely the 7th pick that top set that finishes that out. That he's got a good spot where the Saints obviously loved him in the pre-draft process. We heard they loved him. They traded up very high to get him. I think they went from they traded 19 to 11. I think they kept their 16th pick. And he'll be able to fit right in with what their offensive scheme should be like. I say that, they don't have Sean Payton anymore, but I don't think that much is going to change. That is pretty firm. They had an in-house signing as a defensive coordinator as well. So everything I feel is going to still stick. And I think Olave just meshes really well with, the how well his routes are going to be ran. He's going to make it easier for Jameis Winston, who sometimes is inept. But, I don't know what the future holds for the quarterback there, but Olave is definitely going to be fine.
Yeah, and to your point about the tier break, Craig, like Brees Hall, I think is unanimous 101. And then the next 6 guys we all took, if you took them in any order, I don't think anybody could argue with you.
Yep.
I would completely agree.
That's why I had picked 6 in 3 of my dynasty leagues so far. Cool. I'll just pick the guy that falls to me.
Right. Like, yeah, if at 2 I had taken London or Olave, and then Traylon Burks was hanging out there, you're like, oh, cool, take him. Like, cool,
right?
No big deal. That doesn't shake up everything. It's
Right.
these
And
6 guys off the board in some order.
I am not. I would not be upset at all to be 7 either. Like, even though that's the last one, all of them I'm looking at, I'm happy with. I'm happy with Williams if he was to fall. I think he might be one that does fall because of that injury situation. But
all right. So Derek, talk about the tier break. You're the next pick up after the tier break.
First
Where
of
do you
the
go?
tier break, yeah. So with the way that this draft is kind of set up, I think that the best pick here, well, it's really team dependent, obviously, but I think the best pick here is like the last true running back that I really want out of this class, and that's James Cook. And I know it's probably a little early to take him over like guys like Jahan Dotson that went 16th overall, or Pickens that went to Pittsburgh, or Christian Watson that lands in Green Bay with their tasty location. But I think what James Cook does in the football field immediately makes him better than any running back they have. I know Singletary finished the season well, but like when I see James Cook play football, I just think he's a better football player than him. And I think Buffalo could, if Brees Hall went to Buffalo, he's probably going the first round of redraft leagues, right? So I think like there is a lot of opportunity for this for James Cook to be really, really good in year 1 too. And I just really think that the tier break off here from like the tier 1 to tier 2 players gets even more drastic at running back. And that's why I think you reach on a guy like Cook.
I cannot agree more at all. Yeah, because like year 1, he could be arguably at worst a flexible each week.
Right. And I think like some of the early things that you're hearing is that they want him in the Alvin Kamara type role too. So like PPR monster, and that's what I'm really targeting him for. I mean, he's not gonna come and slash you for 180 on the ground, but he's going to pick up catches and get you fantasy points.
Yep. All right, so I'm next, and like what Derek has said, it's like it's all team dependent, but I think we're going based off of who we think's the best in the draft at each spot. So Cook would have been my 109. Thanks, Derek, you asshole. But I'm going with. I want to slide down here. I'm going to go with Sky Moore as my next pick. I just think that I like Pickens a lot. I love where he landed, but Pickens is also a piece of shit. So this is why he fell. So the second round. I don't want another Darrell Green Beckham on my roster again, like a heavily
what a throwback
years
guy.
ago. This same thing, all the skills in the world, but if you can't be mentally right, then you just can't. I want a guy linked to Patrick Mahomes, and I think he could easily be the best receiver there walking in day one. I know you guys like Juju, but I don't think Juju's the answer. I think MVS is the guy there now, but I think Sky Moore can be the number one there day one, and everyone else can kind of fuck off. So I'm not saying Sky Moore is taking the Tyreek Hill role by any means, but he should easily be the best receiver in Kansas City starting week one.
Yeah, I don't think that there is a Tyreek role anymore in that offense. I think we're going to see
it's a completely different offense.
Yeah, I think they're gonna want Patrick Mahomes to be more efficient, less big plays, keep the ball on their side of on possession of the ball more, and try to play football that way. So I think Sky Moore's a good pick.
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey even said in an interview at some point mid-season, they're figuring us out. Like there's not much else that they could do. Like they had been figured out, and it was one of the most dynamic offenses we've seen in 10 years. They had to split it up, and Sky Moore's a totally different receiver, but going to be the one. Like it's not a question how quickly he was becoming a household name before pre-draft, and yeah. So I'm up. Is that right? No, Dow's is up. Shit.
Dow's up. Yeah.
I'm gonna take your guy right in your face.
You.
Sorry, I am gonna use my 12th overall pick on Jahan Dotson. Oh, it's 10. Sorry, 10. Either way, it's Jahan Dotson. Doesn't matter. I love the guy. And again, I want to keep reiterating this is Dynasty. So if Terry McLaurin stays with Washington, then Jahan Dotson is the number 2 behind Terry. And there's no questions asked there. If Terry McLaurin leaves because he's in a contract dispute, then Jahan Dotson immediately becomes the number 1 because De'Ami Brown was a failed experiment after last year.
Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel was on the field for like all 5 minutes, and Carson Wentz needs people to throw the ball to. So Jahan Dotson, I mean, people are saying during the draft, like you listen to Kuiper and McShay or anybody else that you can listen to, they're like, this kid is talented. He goes and gets the ball. He battles. He's an athletic freak. Like he could end up again, and I keep saying this, being one of the best players in this draft. So I would love to add him for a longevity pick, but I also think year one, he comes in and contributes regardless of who else is on the field around him. You saw Antonio Gibson wore down last year after a pretty heavy workload. So I think they'll try to lighten the load on him. They did draft a running back as well to help out there. But Carson Wentz is also kind of like a proving that he belongs to be a quarterback in the NFL year. And if he can't involve multiple wide receivers, they're going to move on from him too. So there's a lot of incentive in this entire offense to get going. And I think Jahan Dotson has a massive opportunity to capitalize, and I think he will.
I think is Penn State becoming one of those schools that's churning out wide receivers too, right? Because Allen Robinson, Godwin, right?
Godwin, yep.
Like so, I like the pedigree from Penn State too.
Yeah, that's a good call. I didn't really think of that.
Yeah, they also brought out the guy from Denver, KJ Hamler.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then even before him, there was another guy from Denver that was, I can't remember his name really, but he's lost now.
Deshaun Hamilton.
Deshaun Hamilton.
Yeah.
KJ Hamler, Deshaun Hamilton, and Jahan Dotson are so similar. Like they are.
Okay, well, I don't like those comps.
I'll tell you though, I don't think KJ Hamler's got enough credit. He's got time. He also got hurt first year. So
that's true.
I really don't like this pick. I'll tell you why. Because if I'm team 11, say I am the team that just finished second in the Dynasty League, right? I have a good team. Okay, I don't want a project player like George Pickens. I don't want a project player like Christian Watson because that's exactly what he is. He's an extremely talented raw wide receiver that's going to have Aaron Rodgers breathing down his neck. I don't know what I'm really going to get out of him. Talent-wise and upside-wise, I would absolutely pick Watson here, number one, or Pickens, but I don't really know if they're going to help me this upcoming season if I'm going to make another run for it as the second or the runner-up in my Dynasty League. So if I have Austin Eckler, I'm picking Isaiah Spiller. If I have Leonard Fournette, I'm picking Rashard White. Can you scroll down for me on these players to see if there's anything that I'm missing?
I think you are.
I think I am.
Damian Pierce.
Yes, thank you. That's actually what I would do. So in this situation where I don't know if I want a project player or if I don't have one of those other players like Austin Eckler or Leonard Fournette, I'm going to go with the guy that's going to probably give me a little bit of production right away, and that's going to be Damian Pierce, because realistically, that whole backfield is wide open, and no one can tell me otherwise. No, Marlon Mack's a great player, but that doesn't mean he has the job.
I was just going to say he's going to be a great handcuff for Marlon Mack.
And here's the other thing: Damian Pierce was drafted, I believe it was the 5th round or something like that. So it wasn't really that high draft capital, but he's going to have a 1B role at least, or a backup role at least in a system that doesn't really have a strong one running back. I guess the other one I could have thought of was Tyler Algier, but they have Cordell Patterson, so he's even further down the list.
That's a reach there at 111.
Yeah. So it's a tricky area to be in, but I'm going to go with someone who could fill in and help my team right away if I'm going to make another run for it.
That's fair. All right, Derek.
Yeah. So I think it's really tough because, like everything Craig said, at the end of this draft, you're looking for players that can probably give you value this year. And I think if you look at the last 2 players that probably should be taken here are Watson and Pickens, but Watson's the one with the clear path to the field. You're picking 112. You probably just won your championship, right? And you go and you just take Christian Watson, and understanding that Green Bay's never had luck with rookie wide receivers, but there is no one there. Allen Lazard is the number 1 wide receiver on the depth chart right now. I think he finished with under 600 yards last year.
Probably, yeah.
Lizard King, baby.
And I just don't know who else is going to catch the ball in Green Bay. So I think you take Christian Watson here and you just hope that he gives you year 1 value. I think the long term, if you're set at wide receiver though, and you don't need the fantasy points this year, you take Pickens and you go with the talent and you go with the landing spot in Pittsburgh. And Pickens will probably be the next pick anyways, because I think it's a pretty clear drop off in talent with having Damian Pierce go at 11, because I think Damian Pierce is right inside that second tier of dynasty players for this draft too.
Yeah. All right, so we're on the second round. We'll do it a little fast now. I think we're almost an hour into the podcast, so second round would kind of just make it quicker. But Derek said Pickens is the next pick. Again, if I'm the rich team in the league, I have 201. Pickens is a phenomenal pick to have because I'm a bad team and I want the talent to see if it pans out. If not, whatever. But Pickens is my 201.
Yep, at 202, I'm torn between 2 guys. I'm just going to take my pick, though. I'm taking Isaiah Spiller. At this point, I know I called Austin Eckler a bust last year. I don't think he's a bust, but he has dealt with injuries in the past, and Isaiah Spiller theoretically slots in as the 2 the second he shows up to camp. So if that's the case, he has a shot at legitimate snaps, and he can catch the ball, he can run the ball. He's a talented running back, and at 202, you're not risking much on him.
All right. Scroll down for me a little bit. I don't want to miss anything that Sleeper has bad grades on. No, go back up. We're gonna go with Rashad White. And reason being is because I do think that he's going to have a role as a pass catcher for the Bucks. Leonard Fournette did a fine job at it recently in the last couple of seasons, but they also liked to have multiple of them. I think Gio's still the only one there that actually can do it, but he's a shell of
Keyshawn
himself.
Vaughn. Come on, guys.
Yeah, sorry, Keyshawn Vaughn.
Someday, Scott. Someday
he's gonna get cut. But Rashad White was the best pass catching back in college football last year. I think he had 50 plus receptions, decent running back as well. I mean, he's going to fit right into what Tom Brady wants. So I think his last name's White. So Brady likes throwing to those guys.
Oh yeah. All
right, like James
We're
White.
over this right now. Okay.
All right. Okay, so I'm up with 2.4, and I'm going to take Zamir White here. And I think the reason why he takes Zamir White, obviously, with the Raiders not picking up the 5th-year option on Josh Jacobs, again, running back is about to fall off a cliff in just a few picks here. And I think like you can do better in the 3rd round at wide receiver than you can at running back. So get those running backs early in the 2nd round. These guys are all upshot plays. It's an absolute crapshoot at this point. Take the guys that maybe have a clear path to the field. And I think Zamir White's one of those guys. He also played in the SEC. Always a good pedigree. He has great pedigree. I think he was actually a 5-star recruit too. So gotta like that.
Yep, love it. 105 here. I mean, there's no quarterback that's picked yet, so I will not pick one right now. I'm going to go Trey McBride. I know, tight end, but best tight end in the draft by far. Weird landing spot for Arizona. I know they just extended Zach Ertz, but that's not all guaranteed. Ertz is older. He's, on the back end. McBride can fill right in that role. Hopkins is suspended for 6 weeks. McBride can have a decent role for the first 6 weeks of the season. If he proves it, he can surpass Ertz at some point too. So shot in the dark, but at 205, I think it's worth the pick.
All right. That throws me off because I thought you were going to make my decision a little bit easier. I'm going to take at 206 Tyler Algier. I just like the spot. I think Cordell Patterson probably limits his year 1 upside significantly, but Cordell Patterson is not really a running back. So if you can get something out of Algier or even just show flashes in year 1, his year 2 should explode. And that Atlanta team is going to gradually get better. So they've got some pieces. They'll return Calvin Ridley the following season. All of that tends to help a rookie running back, or I guess by then he'll be a 2nd-year running back. And I like him a little bit more in that landing spot than who I would have considered alternately. Brian Robinson would be the other guy. But I just think his spot's a little dicier with Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissic both limiting him as opposed to just one guy in Atlanta.
Yep.
Right. So I was just searching around, and this looks pretty hard now that Algier is gone. I don't know. Robinson could very well be a good pick here, but I think the person that should go here is Malik Willis. He won't play for you this year, but he will most likely play, or start the following year. They got him in the 3rd round, so they don't have to. The Titans don't have to do this, but Ryan Tannehill has 1 year left on his contract. If it were to work out that Malik Willis is starting quarterback for the Titans next year, he's got fantastic weapons, everything built around him, and he will succeed with his natural talent of being able to bomb it and run it. So fantasy wise, he's fantastic. The actual upside of having Malik Willis on your dynasty team, getting him mid-2nd round with the, all that potential, I feel is worth a mid-2nd round pick.
Totally fair. Yep. So that puts me up at 2.8. I think there's some wide receivers that are interesting, like Alec Pierce and John Mechie and Jalen Tolbert and Bell. David Bell. But I'm going to go Jalen Tolbert here. I think we talked a little bit earlier in the pod just that there's availability for pass catching in Dallas, and Jalen Tolbert is like all these guys, again, kind of a crapshoot. Like who knows who's really going to shake out at this point, but he seems like a good enough athlete, decent enough pass catcher to do something in Dallas. And like if you look at the track record of Dallas drafting, it's pretty good, right? So you love guys that go to pretty solid organizations, and Dallas Cowboys can't win Super Bowls, but they seem to draft Pro Bowl players pretty regularly.
Yep, good pick. My next pick, I'm going. Should probably go David Bell, but I'm scared that Cleveland's going to sign Will Fuller or someone at some point. So I'm just going with John Mechie.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
There's only Nico Collins there to fight him for targets. I know Brandon Cooks is the one there, but Mechie, hopefully the surgery went well. He's going to be back by training camp. He was a guy that was hyped up like crazy before he got hurt. Same with Jameson Williams. Then he got hurt, so he fell in the draft and all that shit. But talented guy out of Alabama, so worth a shot.
All right. I'm going to take Tyquan Thornton. Just kidding.
Oh
Trick
my
you.
god, I was gonna puke.
I'm actually going to take Brian Robinson, the guy I was going to take with my previous pick if I didn't take Algier. So, point being, he's got Antonio Gibson ahead of him on a team that runs the ball a lot. There should be opportunity for him still, even as like a 1B. But then you got to think about McKissick limiting his pass catching ability, which isn't really something he does a ton of anyways. From what I've seen in college, I could be wrong on that, but I just don't think he's going to come in and usurp J.D. McKissick day one. But at 210, there's really not a lot of downside to your pick. So I'd go ahead and take a flyer on him. If Antonio Gibson deals with an injury or those shin splints again this season, then he'll see a much increased role because Washington's not going to play around with the leg issue if they have a better option available.
Yep. Good pick.
All right, 11. I don't trust Cleveland Browns with David Bell, so I'm gonna go Alec Pierce from Indiana.
Good pick.
I mean, for Indy. He's 6'3", 211-pound wide receiver that ran a 4.4. Jumped to the highest at 40. So he's very athletic, very big, raw, right? He is another project player. However, he's going to see the field. He's the number 2 wide receiver right now for the Indianapolis Colts. So he's going to A, see the field, and B, have all that athleticism. So it may be a rough go of it. I mean, he did have a case of the drops. It might be a rough go of it, but he will, if he figures it out, he's obviously going to have a lot of upside.
Not worried about Paris Campbell?
No, that guy hasn't seen the field ever.
Or is that
Okay.
Pascal?
No.
He's in Philly now. You're right.
No.
Yeah,
Dude, Ashton.
You're fine.
Ashton
Doolin?
Doolin. Yeah, that's who I'm afraid of.
And this late in the second
I
round
think
too,
you're good.
I think you also have to love, like he was selected 53 overall. Got the
Yes.
second round grade at wide
Mhm.
receiver. Like if you look at wide receiver succession, first and second round, first round obviously has a very high success rate, but second round has a pretty good one too. So you got to love that. He's got the great size too. Anything else on Alec? On 006?
No.
Last pick to you.
Okay, so since this is a 1 quarterback dynasty, I think there's huge value in having quarterbacks on your taxi squad that you don't have to carry multiple, quarterbacks on your actual active roster, and you can fill them with undrafted free agents. So I'm going to go ahead and take Kenny Pickett here. Small hands, smells like cabbage,
Smell the
obviously.
cabbage.
But I mean, Pittsburgh, again, another just institution in drafting players. You got to love the landing spot. Tomlin and the security there in Pittsburgh. I think we've seen quarterbacks just flame out in the NFL so regularly from having just a change of guard and head coach and offensive coordinator. And we see that happen all the time to these guys in the NFL. So landing in a solid spot where, like they've had 3 head coaches in the last 30 something years or something insane like that. Like you got
in our whole lifetimes, I can name 2, right? Him and Coward.
Yeah, him and Coward, right? Exactly. So you just got to love that stability to let a kid grow and with Kenny Pickett.
Fabulous wide receiver room for years to come.
Right. And somebody immediately to throw to whenever he decides to get under center, probably week 6.
And all he's got to do is beat
Maybe,
Mitch.
yeah.
Yeah, Mitch.
And-
Yeah,
Mitch has a track record of getting beaten and strength. So
he does.
Mhm. Yeah, so this is our mock draft. Again, 2 QBs got taken, but during a draft, it depends what your team needs. But this is kind of us going, best player at the best spot. So it's fun.
It's
Yeah.
fun.
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Fun.
I would say
Yeah.
more running backs than I thought would kind of get taken, but like,
Yeah.
the more you get into these dynasty drafts, it's just like you have to take the running backs a little bit earlier than you think, because it just feels like they got much better landing spots than a lot of the wide receivers too.
Yeah, and I think you made the point, Derek, during the draft. Like, I think there's a little bit more depth to the wide receiver position than there is at running back. So if you can grab one of like the top 6, 7 running backs, there's a humongous drop off after any of them versus probably having a legitimate like 10 to 15 wide receivers in this draft.
Right.
Well, look at Alex Pierce, pick 211. He should
Yeah.
be number 2 in the roster
Right.
Exactly.
day 1. So, yeah.
Mechie, number 2 on the roster.
Yep.
Tolbert, the number
2,
3. While he's 3, he's might as well be 2 in Dallas'
2
system.
with, yeah.
The Pats
I
didn't
mean-
make it on the board today, guys.
No.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe tomorrow, but
I'll take Cole Strange.
yeah, I'll say Cole
Yeah.
Strange over anyone else.
They kept trading back.
All right, so that does it. Craig, I'll have you take us out.
All right. We can do that. Thank you, Derek, for joining us today. That was lovely. Great insight on this rookie dynasty draft stuff. I know you've done more than we have for sure. So with that, Scott Dow's, myself, we are Top Shelf Fantasy. Go see us on the onlines at topshelffantasy.com or the socials at Top Shelf FNTSY. Stay fluid, stay loose.